Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad. Your mom and dad.
Welcome home, family.
Hey.
It is the... Oh, he's trying to pop champagne.
Here we go.
Oh, God.
It's coming.
Oh, it's the slowest champagne pop I've ever seen.
About to.
I'm scared. Oh!
Whoa! Hit the wall, baby.
Yes, family, we are here to celebrate the engagement of Dotun and Charity Lawson. Cheers. Let's pour that champers. Pull that champers, darling. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, family. Join us in the celebration of our favorite Bachelor Nation couple.
Who loves champagne at 10 a.m.? You know what I mean?
You know what?
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, my goodness. Oh, to the love. Can you believe?
It happened.
Family, we are here to celebrate. I am so happy.
Can you believe it? I mean, I honestly think that, like, it's perfect.
It's perfect.
You know, and they really messed with us there. And, really, you know.
I mean, talk about an emotional roller coaster, and we'll get into all of that. But I am just so beyond thrilled that Charity and listen, from the get-go, we were like, are they playing with us and tricking us with our emotions? Like, is it going to be a twist at the end and it's not going to be Dotun? Because it better be Dotun. And they did get us at the end there where it was like, oh, shit, what's going on?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
I know.
My predictions, my belief that Angel is a Dotun sent.
Angel is a Dotun. Heaven from sent. Very Yoda of you.
Angel is a Dotun.
Angel is a Dotun of heaven sent to you.
Angel is a Dotun sent from heaven. The Dotun is an angel sent from heaven to another angel, Charity. And this is just... Like I said last week, it makes me believe in love again, and the fact that they're together, and the fact that how he wound up on the show.
I know. And
their first moments together, from the first second that he walked out of the limo, and their immediate connection to seeing them on stage together. It was like, these two people, they're meant to be together.
They deserve each other. They're meant to be together.
I feel it in my bones. I feel just a long-term, perfect, successful, wonderful relationship. And I'm so happy for them.
I know. It was beautiful. It's going to be interesting to talk about that whole family dynamic, to talk about all that. It was very interesting.
It was excellent.
It was excellent. And it was, we'll get into it. But I was, the whole family thing really was very interesting because everyone's relationship to their family is so different that it's definitely, I don't know, it can just really mess with your head. It can cause you to think certain ways. And so I think it's going to be interesting to talk about. That
moment was so real on the show. It was like one of the realest moments we've ever had. And I was just relating so much in certain ways, and just, it was 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
And also just before we, dive into all the details, just a cheers to our Bachelorette Charity.
Yes, cheers.
Who was one of the most fantastic Bachelorettes we've ever seen, and one of the best seasons we've ever seen.
Absolutely. She was vulnerable, honest, but then also stand up, and was, I don't know. She just handled the spotlight very well. And I feel like it was a blueprint for the future.
Yes.
So cheers to her.
Cheers to Charity. Cheers. But it was overall just like we said, one of the best seasons we have ever seen. Yeah. I wish that it was longer. I'm sad that we got 9 episodes. I wish we got 20, to be honest.
What is it normally?
At least 10.
At least 10, right?
Typically.
Like a couple more. And is that just because she was just getting rid of people that she wasn't vibing with, and generally they
just had a shorter season.
They just had a shorter season. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I could have done a couple more.
I needed a couple more episodes, but you know what this was this season was so good. It just got me more reinvigorated and excited for future seasons because,
Yes.
you know, we were feeling a little bit like, it just has been feeling slow and off. And this one was just so fantastic in every way. We got the drama, we got the love, we got an incredible lead. It was all just so good that it just got me so excited for the upcoming seasons, which, okay.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Before we dive into the actual episode, what we found out during yesterday's episode was that we are going to be getting the Golden Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise at the same time.
That's insane.
I'm like, can we do it on a different night?
Well, it's insane. It's like, what are they thinking? Just same time? Are they just trying to like bash you over the head with content? Like you got to watch 4 hours of content, assuming everyone will do that. Listen,
It's
we're going to
too
be
much.
doing it.
We're gonna be doing
and
it.
It's awesome. And I'm really excited for both shows. I'm just like, guys,
I know. Could we just break
can
up?
Can you start it now? One of them now?
Well, that's the thing. Bachelor in Paradise already has been filmed. So can we just
What are we doing?
start rolling? So we have to wait until September 28th, which also, everybody, no more Bachelor Monday and Tuesday.
I know.
It's Bachelor Thursday, double.
What does that mean?
What do you mean? What does that mean?
Why did they do that? You
I
know what
have
mean?
no
These
idea.
people are insane.
I'm not the exec.
God. So that's going to switch our scheduling up a little bit.
The scheduling is going to get switched up. So basically, we're going to have Golden Bachelor from 8 to 9 on Thursday. So only 1 hour, not your typical 2-hour episode. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So Golden Bachelor 8 to 9 and then Bachelor in Paradise 9 to 11.
Yes.
It's a lot of Bachelor.
Yes.
Obviously, we're going to be covering both. We have to. Here's the other thing. Love is Blind, it was just announced, is dropping its newest season on September 22nd.
Yes.
So a few days before we get the Golden Bachelor and BIP premiere.
Yeah.
We want to cover that too.
Yes.
And also, FBoy Island starts October 12th.
God.
So there's just a lot. We're going to have content.
We will be doing episodes every single day.
It's not true, but we want to cover everything.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to start in, end of September, October, doing 2 episodes a week. We're going to have to probably rearrange the days of our drops.
Yeah.
So please stay tuned for that in the upcoming weeks while we let you all know about how the schedule is going to shift. But we want to cover all of it.
The goal is to cover all of it, so stay tuned for the schedule of our drops because those will change. It will no longer be the Wednesday, Friday because of the scheduling. So we might be like a Monday, Wednesday thing. We have to figure that out. So just stay tuned for when that's going to happen because boys, we're going to be covering all this. And it's gonna be fun.
We're going to have to figure out the exact times and everything, but we're going to keep you all updated. End of September, we're going to start. It's going to get wild over here, and we're going to get into high gear.
It's going to be a wild fall.
It's going to be a wild fall.
A busy fall.
And I'm
really
actually
excited.
so excited.
Yes.
All of this packed
all
into
the
one.
content. By the way, the beach looks incredible.
Oh, the
Paradise.
beach. Yes,
Paradise looks dramatic, and there's a lot of heavy hitters, a lot of drama. So I'm excited, along with the Golden Bachelor, which was a completely new concept, completely new idea.
Along with the Golden Bachelor, which every preview, Evan starts getting teary-eyed every single time.
I mean, this guy deserves all the love.
Every time that preview drops, a different preview, I look over at Evan, and Evan's just like shuddering and crying.
And they're shooting his like promos like it's a soap opera. They're like foggy and gorgeous. They look
Whoever
like a Hallmark
is doing it needs
commercial.
a raise.
And the daughters are there. Yeah, no, it's gonna be fire.
It's gonna be so good. With that being said, we do have an episode coming out on Friday, so stay tuned for that. But we are calling on the family for our Friday episode. So in the episode notes below on YouTube or in the episode notes on the podcast, you will see the link where you can send a voicemail to our call home line. We want to have a fun episode on Friday where we hear from the family your most controversial opinions and takes. And we are talking your silly, ridiculous, exciting, controversial takes.
Yes.
Like, for example, you think that friends are pointless. That's a that's a controversial.
That is very controversial. That sounds like Zach. Friends are a waste of time. They're just going to get in the way. You want to go party? Sure, I'm making money. Your friends want to go golf? Huh, interesting. Unless I buy a golf course, we're not going golfing. We're selling. We're making money. So yes, send in your controversial opinions because also that will cause me and Jess to have, disagreements, possibly.
I'm feeling a little spicy. I kind of want to argue with you a little bit.
Exactly. You know what I mean? We've been getting a little too agreeable around here.
Yeah, we need to argue. So if you
we want to fight with you guys, we want to fight with each other. It's about fighting, okay?
Family fights. So you think Friends are pointless, or you think White Lotus was overrated, or if you're like me, you think all sporting activities like skiing, snowboarding, surfing are sent from the devil.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get your controversial opinions and takes. Send them to the call home voicemail hotline, and we'll get into that on Friday.
Oh, and everyone who sends in a voicemail, can you do me a favor? Can you keep it under 90 seconds? Because for some reason, I can't set a limit. It's not working. And sometimes when people send in like 5-minute things, we don't have time on the show to hit it all. So keep it under 90 seconds if you can. If you can. And let's start fighting, guys. Friday fight night.
Friday fight night. Friday fight day. Friday fight morning. Family fight. Friday night. Fight night. Fight Friday.
Beautiful alliterations. Just fight. So yes, send in your controversial opinions, and we will chat about them.
So that's what we got coming up.
Amazing.
That's what we got coming up, and we'll keep you all updated.
Yeah, babe. By the way, so I got new nose ring and earring. Little side note: while we were making love, my earring got caught in the blanket, ripped out.
Wait, hold on a second. This is info to me. This is actually.
We were making love.
I'm feeling a little exposed.
We were making love, and my earring got caught in the blanket, and I went and I didn't even let you know, and I just ripped, and it went somewhere.
Were you bleeding?
No, not bleeding.
Did it hurt?
Check. It did hurt a little bit, but I didn't let it affect our love making, and continued on.
The phrases.
Yeah, no, it's grossing you out. But just to everyone's non-surprise, I have not replaced the earring, even though we have a little case of earrings now.
Well, surprise.
And it's day 4, and there's no new earring in there, and might be another year. So there's my avoidant behavior coming back.
Well, non-surprise to everybody else who is listening, who has also let me know and reminded me, thank you so much, to put in my new nose ring. Well, because I avoided putting it in for so long, it's closed. So now I have to get it re-pierced because I do feel like not like myself with just the one nose ring in. I need my second.
Are you going to be able to handle it again? Because I do feel like you get very like, by the way, guys, I don't think we talked about this. She was there when I got my nose ring. She wasn't even watching me get my nose ring. She was in the next room. And the thought of it made her pass out. She hit the floor. Everyone came. I think we might have talked about this in the past. She hit the floor, you guys. I heard dish, dish. And all of a sudden the piercer's like, what's that? And they go running out, and she's on the floor passed out.
It was the thought of it.
So that's my question. Is like, are you going to be able to handle doing this again?
I'm fine when it's done to me.
Okay. It's the thought of doing it.
Yeah. When I'm getting pierced, I'm good. I'm laying down. I'm not sitting up. Okay. It's the same way when I get like my blood drawn in shots. Yes. Does it make me feel very lightheaded? 100% because I get in my head, but I just let them know I need to lie down. I always let them know ahead of time, like, hey, I can be a fainter. Because I think I hold my breath. I think that's what it is. Lock the legs, hold the breath, pass out.
Right.
So I just get reclined. And when you're getting your nose pierced, you just ask, you say, hey, can you lay me down?
Right.
I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, Jess is weird in that, like, she can handle her own pain and crisis. But when it comes to someone else's pain and crisis, that's kind of when we call someone else. Because if I was to like slash my leg and it were to be like bleeding, Jess would have to lay down and put her feet up. So we would have to call maybe, some other help. Because, that's just, we all have our own
when you're
fears.
A deep empath and you just,
right.
when the idea
you feel so bad for me?
Yeah, I'm like, I can get hurt. But like when I see someone else in pain, like I go into full crisis.
Got it. It has nothing to do with the fact that blood bothers you. No. It's the fact that you care so much.
100%.
Got it. Okay, great.
100%.
That's good to know.
100%. Anywho, let's get into this because you and I are feeling better again. We are no longer ill. Even though, by the way, Lee is not in the studio again, which is so sad because now Lee is traveling, but he'll be back
Lee's
on the next
episode. He's on a little vacation thing, which is cool, and he's going to be back on the next episode.
Okay,
yes.
we'll all be reunited again.
Yes. I regret letting him out of the studio.
Of course.
This is what happens. You let him out, and you can't get him back in. You know what I mean? So we'll get him back in the studio, and he will be, stuck here again, so...
Perfect.
Okay.
Let's get into the episode.
Absolutely.
Okay. From the very top, Jesse Palmer is thrilled. JP, the AI dial, is set to excitement. He is so excited to be, as he puts later in the episode, feeling like Oprah, delivering surprise after surprise. Now, I can't lie to you. I thought 1,000% that the surprises were going to be like everybody gets a phone case.
Because of some new sponsor they have.
Exactly.
Which is always we talked about this before, but like every time they do a non-normal episode, it's just an advertisement. But have you noticed this year? No advertisements.
They heard the people and the people said, we hate it. And then they got rid of it.
Yeah.
But at one point when he was like, I have a surprise that's going to shock and awe the audience. You looked at me and he's like, everybody's getting free champagne. Like everyone gets a glass of champagne for free. Like that's what we're going to get.
They're like, everyone gets a Diet Coke. And they're like, well, no, we already got them from the bar.
We know you're absolutely parched because you've been here for 7 hours.
Yeah,
and we don't let you leave.
Everyone gets a picture of me with a digital sign stamp. And you're like, I don't want a picture of you, Jesse. Like, we printed it off of Google and it's yours to keep. It's like, cool, thanks, man.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But there actually were a decent amount of surprises during this episode. Now, one that I do want to get into in a moment was quite confusing to me. But I also think that JP was glowing because shout out and congrats to our host, Jesse Palmer, announced that him and his wife are pregnant. So he's going to be an actual daddy.
He's going to be a Zad dad.
He's going to be a Zad dad. So I think that's why he was glowing.
Do you think he has bad days,
No.
Jesse? Jesse kind of has the look of someone that like, you got to really push through and you're like, are you really okay though? And then he might break. But like, he has that thing that's like, he's not going to let you know he's having a bad day. You know what I mean? Like, or is he just kind of like Ember, where you're just born with just the positivity ripping through you at all times?
I think he feels bad days. I think though the harder the day is, the harder he smiles, and it's like the smile gets more and more angry and enraged.
The eyes aren't smiling, but the mouth is kind of thing.
The smile never stops, but the eyes, you can tell.
He's been trained.
He has.
Smile through the pain.
Media
You know what I mean? Media trained. Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, he is he's also just the king of this is going to be the biggest thing that ever happened to you comments. He loves those comments.
The thing about JP though is that I feel like as a host, he really does get excited by it. Like when he announced the whole Virgin Cruise situation, you know, however many seasons ago, he was so excited to let everyone know. It wasn't like I'm going to say you guys are going to be blown away and surprised. And then you find out that you get like $100 voucher, like, you know, in a 2-week period that you can try to get on this cruise that's probably already sold out. Like he was excited about it.
Yeah, right.
Like I believe that he is truly deeply
excited.
thrilled.
Oh, well, that just makes me feel more jealous of his just general joy.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But I'm going, wait a second. Like when they were like sending me to Greece, you know, like when they're sending them to Greece later, they're like, you're going to Greece. And I'm kind of like, okay, but what does that mean though? Like, are you going to cover the airfares or do I got to pay for everything and you're just covering like dinners? Like, what do you mean you're sending me to Greece? You were just saying it's okay that I go to Greece and I got to pay for the whole thing. Like, what does that mean? They weren't specific. Normally they do like, and we're partnering with Sandals Resort.
That's true.
To give you
true.
the penthouse. And they didn't do it. They're like, we're sending you to Greece and that's all the information you're going to get.
They just pay one ticket, one way, not even a round trip.
They just send them the Costco like pamphlet that gives them like a deal on Greece.
Yeah, they're like, we can get you like $250 off.
$250 off the whole $14,000 thing. And you're like, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do with that. You know, so we'll see. You know what I mean? But the Greece thing, we'll see. I'd love to know the details of the gift there.
I 100% would like to know the details.
You know.
But one of the things that he did, and I know I'm like way skipping ahead, but I did need to address this because my mind was racing, is that later in the episode, well, throughout the episode, Jesse Palmer was teasing that someone in the audience was going to be dating our next Bachelor. And this was before we announced who the Bachelor was. He said someone in the audience is going to be dating the Bachelor. This was a very new tactic for them and a new technique because what we've seen in the past is, you know, here the Bachelor is, and now we have 5 contestants who come out and meet the Bachelor, you know, and that's kind of where it lands. And that's always unbelievably awkward.
It's fantastic though.
It's fantastic, but it's also, you know, we go back to
Bebe, to Balin.
To the Zach times, who Zach was in the audience, never spoken to.
Never. That was so weird. It's like, that's the guy who just was the Bachelor, and they just looked at him once or twice.
That was called You Have to Come, and he maybe thought that he was going to interact with the Bachelor, and they were like, no, it's okay.
That was the whole, like, you know when these people sign their contracts?
Yes.
And they're like, by the way, like, after you go on the show, we can just own you for the next, like, 2 years.
Yeah, you're
so,
gonna
like,
have to come
anytime we'll
back.
call you, you have to fly here and be, like, on whatever extra show we got going on. And
Yeah,
so they're all dragged in there.
He did not look pleased. He did not look pleased. But typically they have the lineup, and you know, we have the awkward moments where Zach says, you know, more cup of morning Balin or whatnot.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Couldn't remember Kat's name, etc.
Yeah.
This time they set up this whole new technique of someone in here is going to date the Bachelor,
Yes.
which I found to be very strange.
It was really strange because I didn't get it. I get
No.
like before, like, okay, before when he mentioned that, I thought they were going to have like a semi-celebrity be on the show.
Right.
For like one episode or something. So I thought like, oh, you know, the actress from this movie is going to be on the show. Like something to where it's like someone in here might, or, you know, or Kat.
Well, they teased Kat or Brooklyn.
Brooklyn or Kat made sense because it's like
Right.
we know them. So it was like, oh, a never before where we have someone from a previous show to jump back on the show.
At least where they're announcing it. Yeah.
I'm like, cool, that is like a unique thing. But to pick two random people who may or may not be on the show, who are not, we don't know at all, is like, it was like a repackaging of the exact same thing of just bringing them out.
But it got even weirder to me because not only, it's one thing if you're like, okay, we don't know these people and we have a moment to get to know them. But then we're also going to say, or maybe it's Kat or Brooklyn.
So you did
Which
the
then
most
also-
exciting thing, which is
Right.
like someone you know, and then they just went with the least exciting thing, which is just someone who we don't know who's
Yeah.
going to be on the show anyway.
Yeah,
It's
no
like,
shade to that person, but it's the way that they did it. And then also we're seeing Kat and Brooklyn in the preview for Bachelor in Paradise. So the whole audience is going, I really doubt that it's Kat or Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Also, when Jesse's talking to them and they're like, so maybe you're going to date the next Bachelor. And they're like, maybe.
and Kat kind of had like multiple looks where she's like, I didn't even know this was happening. What is this? You know what I mean? So it was almost like saying, like, this is a blown out of proportion version, but it was almost like saying, Tom Cruise is going to be on the show. Is he? Or is it going to be this random person? It's not. It's the random person. Everyone's kind of like, okay, like, I don't know. You want me to be excited about this random person who's going to be on the show who will just be like all the other people on the show, like random? It was such a strange approach.
It was such a I mean, that was like a new move of theirs that I was like, you guys, I don't feel like this really panned out the way that
that's
you.
the move. That's what took up like 25 minutes of drama,
Like, you
is like
guys-
just picking a random person to be on the show. I don't
Like, again, no shade to all of them, but I would have really loved to have a longer moment with Charity and Dotun post the show, maybe sitting down and talking with their family. Like, come on. Like, that
Yeah.
took up so much time where I'm like, everybody.
It was like the producers were like in the room just being like, so we got to fill 3 hours. What should we do?
I'm like, I want to talk to Charity and Dotun more. I'd be down to talk to Joey more, which, by the way, congratulations. Our official new Bachelor is Joey.
And Joey, yeah. But real quick, like, I would have loved, you know, what Braden clearly is auditioning to be Johnny Depp, as you could tell from his outfit. So like maybe he could come on and do like a Johnny Depp impression or something, or, you know, anything like that. But just to pick random people out of the audience, I just felt a little, you know, it was a little random.
Such a strange move to me.
Yeah.
I couldn't get over it. I was like, am I missing something? I felt like I was missing pieces of the episode. I was like, is my TV glitching?
It's like rewinding back, like,
Yeah, I'm
am I
like,
missing
did I
something?
miss something? It's just, maybe it's just me, but it felt so strange and random
And then I felt
to
good.
me.
I felt bad for that girl in the red dress who was like, am I going to be on the show? And they're just like, a psych, other random person, you're not on here. You are. And it's like,
And then I also felt bad for Leia, who ended up getting chosen because, I mean, exciting for her that she got chosen,
Right,
but they teased Kat and Brooklyn, who everybody knows. So then when she got chosen, everyone was kind of like, yay.
and then they brought her up, and it was just like, brought up a random person on stage and be like, okay, interact now. And they're like awkwardly sitting there going, hey, so, you good? And she's like, yeah, I'm excited to be here. And he's like, cool. Yeah. I mean, I thought they handled it as best as you
I was gonna
possibly
say,
could
the
have,
two
but I was
of
like,
them-
what did you want them to talk about?
The two of them actually crushed it. Like,
They crushed the most awkward situation you could
first
possibly
and foremost, Joey's energy as new Bachelor already, I have to tell you, I am tingling. I was like, I'm like, yeah, I think he'd be a good Bachelor. After seeing this last night, I feel like he's going to be a fantastic Bachelor because that situation, he took control of that situation, I felt like.
No, I agree.
And was like so direct and handled the conversation beautifully. Like you said, that was so awkward. And Leah also was answering the questions so well. And then just made that statement where she was like, I feel like maybe we could find our home together or in each other. I'm like, wow, it was fantastic.
They both were very good with their words, despite being in a situation that's literally impossible.
I thought at one point Jesse was going to shout back out to Zach and be like, wow, Joey really knows how to handle this role. Remember Zach? When he called Bailey, I thought he was going to do a full reference back to Zach, and Zach was just going to be like sobbing.
One thing that I can say about Joey that's very impressive to me that we've seen throughout this whole season, but especially we'll talk about with the family and when we saw him interact in this awkward situation, is that the guy always knows what to say.
Yes, he does.
He never parses words, and he never does and I think, and never kind of says something like most people would do, which is like, how do I fill space here? He's really weirdly comfortable talking and everything he says is really good.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be able to really body.
Maybe he should take our job.
Well, definitely. But I think he's just going to be able to really body the role.
I think so.
I think it's going to be very comfortable for him. He just never seems to be awkward and frustrated or frazzled.
I feel like typically, specifically with our bachelors, their first sit down as the bachelor is always, I'm dripping in sweat, panicking because it's so uncomfortable. I felt like was more comfortable than Jesse sitting on the stage.
100%. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have an anxious energy about him that I need to kind of make everyone excited about this. He's really calm and it translates as extreme confidence,
which I think will help all the women relax on the show. But okay, this was my long way of getting to, sorry everyone, the final surprise from Jesse Palmer, which I'm going to be thinking about this for weeks, months until the show airs. His big surprise was that he gave Leah an envelope.
Yeah.
And he said, this is yours. And it's not a date card, but what's in this envelope is going to help you and your success on this show. But you can't open it right now. And everybody's got to wait. We're going to tease this whole fucking thing for so long, and now we don't even know what it is, and we have to wait for 4 months. And it's gonna help you, but it's not a date card. And Leah's just like, can I open it over there? He's like, nope, you gotta wait. Of course, a blank envelope inside.
Well, and also the way he teased it was not you did a disservice to how much he sold it. He goes, this is gonna change everything. This is gonna blow minds. What's in that envelope cannot be undone. Once it's open, the universe will never be the same. And you're just like, dude, the whatever's in there is probably
Have you heard of the Big Bang? It's got nothing compared to what this envelope is about to do.
This is going to change nations. And you're just like, okay, whatever's in there is clearly you get to go on a helicopter ride or some shit. So please knock it off with the whatever's in there thing.
And what happened to me when Jesse said this was, did I get a laugh attack for...
You did.
I mean...
She killed this
4 or 5 minutes?
Yes.
I couldn't stop laughing. I laughed till when the credits ran through.
Yes.
Because the second he delivered this envelope and said, there is something in here that is going to change your trajectory on this show for forever. And I looked at him and all I could picture was her opening it, and inside is a photo of Bigfoot.
Yeah, and that's all it is. And he's grinning you see? And he's thinking when he gives it to her that she will then see how important it is to pursue Bigfoot. And so he's thinking that will be enough to convert her to Bigfootism, to move to Washington and to start pursuing it full time, because he's a recruiter for the Bigfoot movement. And so he just, it's just a picture, and it's like a drawing. It's like he drew it. It's not even a real picture.
Sketch.
It's a bad sketch of Bigfoot.
It's like, it's a piece of paper from his hotel room in Washington. And he's like, this is so important.
And he threatened the producers before. He said, I will leave the show right now, 2 minutes before they were starting to air, if you don't let me do this. And they're like, fine, whatever.
I couldn't stop picturing her. Night one, just slowly pulling whatever's in the envelope out.
It's just a Bigfoot.
And the cameras are on her, and she's looking at the cameras and producers like, is everybody, how am I supposed to react to this? And it's just a drawing of Bigfoot.
It's like him running. God.
And Jesse's in the corner like, you know what I mean?
No, and he puts in there a gift card to like the Bigfoot Lodge in Washington where you can go and stay for a week. And he's like, treats on me. Because this whole thing is just about getting more people into Bigfoot.
Or it's just a photo that he took in Washington that's a grainy photo
of him.
Of like, there's like a blur in the background, and he's like, that's all the proof you need. That was Bigfoot.
If that's not enough to believe.
And that's going to change your life. And that being what she opens.
And he's hoping she just literally leaves the show and pursues Bigfoot full time.
He's like, I know Joey's handsome and kind and all these things, but let's talk about what the important thing in life is. Mm-hmm. I'm going to leave the show with you, and we're going to pursue this together.
We're going to do this.
I'm
willing to leave my family for this.
I'm about to be a father, and I am willing to leave my family.
I don't ever need to meet my child if you're in on this pursuit with me. Oh my god.
So that's all I can picture. And I laughed 4 or 5 minutes straight.
You did.
Also, I was like, is what's inside this envelope a card that says Zach is back? And it's like a card that she can use at any time if she wants to swap Joey for Zach. And Zach's in the audience like, I'm happily with Katie. Like, I did not. And they're like, Zach, you're it's a contract, and we have the Zach Attack is back card. Whoa. That when she wants to play it, it's almost like a board game, like a game of Monopoly. When she wants to play this card, the Zach Attack has to come back, and Zach is then swapped for Joey.
For the whole show? The
whole show.
Whoa, that's a
wild
move.
And it's like, sorry, Katie, and Zach's like, sorry, it's part of the contract.
Sorry, Katie has not been making as much money as I needed, and she has not, realized her potential in sales, and so I'm willing to put this on the line and see if you are a much more of an entrepreneur than she is. We will see. This
is my fantasy, but I wanted to hear from the family. What do you think is in the card? Yeah. What do you think is in the envelope? Excuse me. I think it's going to be so anticlimactic. Yeah. I think it's literally going to be like you get 5 extra minutes.
Yes.
With Joey.
You get 1 extra drink.
Or
like,
it's going to be like you open the envelope and the envelope says, you know what? Okay, I'm going to predict this right now.
Okay.
Number 1, I have a guess that they don't even know what's in the envelope yet.
They haven't figured it out. Like, they're just like, let me tease something and we'll figure out what it'll be later.
Number 2, I'm going to predict right now, when she gets out of the limo, they're going to have her open the envelope.
Right.
And it's going to say, you get the first amount of time with Joey. Like, she gets to pull him first.
Got it.
That's what I think it's going to be.
That anticlimactic.
1,000%. He said it's not a date card. So it's not like she's going to get the first date.
Yeah.
It's not going to, I would be shocked if it was a first impression rose card where it's like, he has to give you the first impression rose.
Interesting. Yeah. What could it be? I think, I want to hear everyone's thoughts. I want to hear what everyone thinks.
I want to hear.
I think it'll be a gift card to Chipotle, because they're like, the food at the mansion is annoying and like they're not really into it. So I think it's going to be a free Chipotle.
What if it's like a secret about Joey?
Oh.
And they're like, you can't share this with anybody, but this is a very deep, dark secret about Joey. And you can use it to threaten him so that he'll at least bring you to top 2 so then you can become the Bachelorette.
I love the idea that she blackmails her way to the top.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe the producers
and
are like,
every time he goes, I just feel like we haven't had a connection. She just starts pulling the card out. It's like, it is funny. I will say, though, that even though we don't have a connection, I've never been more in love. And that's something that, personally, for me, I don't need love. I just want you. And there's no reason why, I could say, but the main reason is just that I love you. And that's it.
These are just theories I'm throwing around.
I like it.
I feel like they're pretty good. I feel like they're pretty good.
Yes, absolutely. I want to hear everybody else's too.
So we shall see. But with that being said, I am really excited. I think Joey is going to be a very good Bachelor. Yeah. And we'll get into everything, the breakdown with him and Charity. But I mean, I had a few potential Bachelor options that I was like, I think this person would be great. I think this person would be great. I really do think that it would have been great if they pulled someone from Paradise after us getting to know someone from Paradise a little bit more. But I guess maybe they're going to be filming. Who knows, you know, what with the overlap. But I think that would have been great. But I think Joey.
I felt like Joey was the obvious move. Yes. And that's why I didn't think it was going to happen. I was hoping it was Aaron Clancy.
Well, he's in a relationship.
But, I mean, whatever. I'm just saying, I would love to see him as the Bachelor, because I just feel like
I would have loved someone out of left field would have been great.
Amazing.
You know what I'm waiting for, too? A villain. We need another villain. We need a villain Bachelor, Bachelorette.
A lead.
Yes.
A villain lead. Oh, that
we
would
need a
be
villain lead.
interesting.
It's time. It's time for the franchise to do that.
Okay. I love that idea. Okay.
But I think he's going to be phenomenal. And I think Joey's going to be a lead that there's just something about him and his look and his vibe that I could see it pulling in the younger generation a little bit.
I think so I think there's like, when it comes to Bachelor and Bachelorette, there's like, you kind of fantasize about them, and that's why you get into the show. You kind of fantasize about them as like who you think they are. So it's like, some of them are like the epic spouse, the good support system, the person, you know what I mean? Like, everyone kind of has their strength. I think Joey will be the heartthrob.
Yeah.
He looks like an A-list actor.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of like, he's a little like sweet and like soft spoken, and he's kind of like mysterious. Like, I think
he's got like strong energy.
Very strong energy.
Commands the conversation.
You know what I mean? I think he kind of makes people go goo-goo over him a little bit. So I think he'll be a heartthrob.
Okay. I could definitely see that. And I could then see maybe some of the demographic being a little more, you know.
Yes.
Early 20s, mid 20s.
Yep.
Which we'll see.
I think it's going to hit. I think it's going to be
hard. But we have to wait until January or something of the sort. Okay, but enough of this. Yes. Let's talk about our Queen Charity's journey as we watched the final three. So the final three, because first we start off with Aaron being in Fiji, which for a hot second I forgot about because we had the men tell all in between. And so I would have been, caught off guard. But I'm like, oh my God, yes, Aaron is still in Fiji. The 12-hour flight, he is there. They end up having a conversation, and Aaron essentially tells her, like, I understand if you're not down to try to continue to pursue this with me. I respect any decision, but I would be really upset if I didn't take the chance and come out here and do this.
What I thought was really interesting about this
is
that he didn't leave and come back, which is a classic move. He was sent home and came back.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Usually people come back because they felt like
they're like, I'm going to leave.
They left prematurely.
A Braden moment.
But there's always one of those. Someone leaves and then they come back. But to have someone come back who was kicked off, that was very interesting. And one thing I want to say is I was very impressed by him.
Me too.
I think that's what I was like. At first, I was like, oh, God, this is going to be brutal. Because I was just like, you got kicked off. It's different than like leaving. You were not chosen.
No, she said no. Yeah.
So when he came back and he was just kind of like, here's kind of my general vibe. I was very inspired by him coming back, even though he was kicked off, to be like, I'm willing to put it all on the line. Like, he didn't drive. Like, he flew across the world.
Right.
To see her.
To pursue. And also it was coupled with an energy that was a no pressure energy. It was like, I completely respect everything, any decision you make. And if you're like, no, absolutely not, I respect that. There wasn't the energy of, there were no expectations on his end.
I'm not going to take no for an answer.
Yeah, there was nothing toxic like that where it's like, no, she said no, and then you just are continuing. It's like, no. I just want to let you know that I felt like there was a deep connection, and I would be remiss if I didn't attempt to let you know how I felt, and I felt like it ended swiftly, and this is how I'm feeling. But if you're like, get your ass back home. And throughout, by the way, the journey of the two of them over like that 24 hours, that's what the energy was the entire time. And eventually, when she sent him home, that energy remained.
Yes.
It was very much like I respect you so much, never change.
Yeah.
And I'll be real with you, but of course, what comes into mind is the producers and a paradise narrative and all of this. And, he's going to be on Bachelor in Paradise now, which I'm very excited about. But they're having him come back because it's going to add to the drama in the narrative. Listen, maybe I'm getting caught up this season, but the way in which Aaron was sobbing.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like he really was in love with her.
Yeah.
And I don't blame the guy.
Well, and
I would be too.
What he said was, there was one comment he made that was very telling to me. Mm-hmm. And it showed his character in a good way.
Yeah.
Was he said, you give me hope for what I can have. And that to me was like the difference between I'm coming back, I'm not taking no for an answer, kind of a Sean move. Sean was kind of always like salesing it or like trying to prove to his dad that
I'm coming to your hotel room and being like, no, we will work. And I'm going to prove to you why.
Which is Sean literally sold himself at the end. He's like, I know that you don't like me, but if you give me a chance, this arranged marriage might work. You know what I mean? He kind of had that like thing.
Totally.
And so with Aaron, I kind of had this feeling of like, he just kind of came back and said, hey, I'm just going to put it all on the line and I'm okay with whatever happens because I know that like at least I gave it my all. And that's what was very inspiring to me was like to go into something, say I lost basically, but I'm going to try again and I'm okay if I fail again, but at least I know I didn't leave anything up to like, I didn't leave anything out on the table. Mm-hmm. So when then he was crying and like, it was one of those real moments to me where it was like heartbreaking for the fact that he saw his wife and I know that he would have treated her so well, but you can't force chemistry. And that's what I was 100%. Saying last time was like, I like Aaron, but the chemistry is not there. And I think that it just got beat out, but I was inspired by the fact that he just goes like, you never know. Yeah. And I liked that.
Yeah. And I like that. He met Charity, who's such an incredible woman. And it was just like you said, it was like, it gives me hope for what my future could look like.
Exactly.
But then Charity does end up bringing him back. Now he gets a dinner and then leaves. Yeah, he doesn't get that. This was a moment where I was like, listen, producers. And I would imagine both Charity and Aaron were probably like, can y'all just let us have a damn fantasy suite? Like, can we just do a proper fantasy suite? Because we're midday right now. Can we just do a dinner into a fantasy suite so we can have a little bit of time off camera? Because that's the biggest part. The thing. You're right. That's the biggest part of the fantasy suite, right? It's you have time where the cameras, there's not 17 cameras in your face. Like Jesse Palmer alluded to later, he's like, you think this is awkward, wait till you're in a hot tub and there's 17 cameras and lights pointing at you. So for them, they didn't even get the opportunity to have an alone moment when Aaron flew all the way to Fiji. It's like, I'm sure both of them were like, can we just some time off camera? And producers were like, dinner only.
Now what is possible is that Charity was like, I still don't really see it, but I'm willing to do dinner.
Yeah, like
what's possible
is that she was
like,
little bit, but
I don't think I want to be locked in a room talking for 10 hours to this guy. Like, I don't see it still, but you never know. He might during a dinner blow my mind.
Or maybe she was like just so exhausted. It was like, I already did 3 fantasy suites. Technically, yes, Xavier's was cut short, but I did do 3 and I'm tired.
So she might be a little bit like, nothing's changed for me, but I'm willing to give him a chance, and that chance is dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of the guess I'm getting is like, he was really excited. And I think she was like, I don't want to like spark the joy here. And I also, because I feel so torn with Dotun and Joey, maybe my judgment's off. So I'm going to give him a chance. You know what I mean? You kind of start to question yourself.
Sure.
So that was the vibe I was getting, that like, I need to kind of give this a chance to see if like I'm off right now.
Right.
And then it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that makes sense. Well, when he ends up showing up to the rose ceremony,
everyone's expecting Xavier because they don't know.
Everyone's expecting Xavier. And when Aaron walked in, having the live audience there was so funny. The audience was dying laughing.
Yes, when like their double takes.
They saw Joey and Dotun do full double takes. Like Joey did like quadruple takes. Joey was like, what is going on right now?
And it was like someone let off a sweat faucet on Dotun because Dotun was fine. And then he walked in, and all of a sudden we see him blinking and like water's flaking off his eyes because he's sweating so much. So
the pressure was on.
Yeah, I think the pressure was on. I think it also probably in his brain was like, wait, did she call him back?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
is she on the fence with us? And so she needed like someone else to kind of figure out if, we're right. It was, I would feel the same. If I saw Xavier there, I'd be like, okay, that's what we were expecting. But seeing a guy that you knew was gone would scream, and you're in Fiji, so you're not like close by, would scream to me like something's off.
Right.
And you saw Dotun for the first time ever, super like scared.
Right.
It seemed that way.
What I will tell you is this. What I loved and respected about Joey and Dotun was that I think a lot of other contestants in the past, if this would have happened so close to the end, would have made a little bit of a scene about it.
Yes.
Would have been like, I don't know how I feel now that in the end you're bringing in somebody when it was just us and da-da-da. I loved that, at least from what we saw, Joey and Dotun were both just cool as cucumbers, just like we are both in love with Charity. And this is a little bit of we're thrown for a loop a little bit. But it is what it is. I loved that.
Yes. And what was interesting to me was that she chose Joey first. That was interesting. I think Aaron knew he was done then. So here's my thought. I think he thought Dotun was a lock for top 2.
Okay.
I think Aaron thought Joey was the wild card.
Okay.
The reason why I think this is because when she chose Joey, that's when we saw his face sink. I remember watching Aaron's face when they chose Joey because we were shocked. We were kind of like, because we all thought Dotun is the lock.
Right.
Joey is the wild card. So what she'll do is she'll choose Dotun. Then we'll have the Joey versus Aaron thing. And that is kind of, to me, was like we don't know if Joey is the lock yet. When she chose Joey first, I literally saw all hope drain from Aaron.
Oh, sad.
I literally saw, I watched him kind of be like this and all of a sudden just go like, okay, got it. Understood. I'm done. Because I think he knew Dotun was like in. So that was kind of an interesting moment.
It's true. Well, I will tell you this, a typical 10 out of 10 moment from our Bachelorette Charity when she called Joey's name for the rose and then she called Aaron's name and paused and then was like, can I speak to you?
Yes.
Because for a second I was like, are you for real? Like it for like a half of a second,
it was a
you and I
played.
both gasped. I was like, no, not Dotun. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was an incredible Bachelorette moment.
It was good.
But then she pulls Aaron aside and she, oh so graciously lets him go. And he so graciously hears her out and they share love with each other. And then when we see Aaron back live studio audience with Jesse, I just felt like the way that he, even though it was a brief moment that we got in the live studio with him, he made a comment where he was kind of like, I totally get. It's like I walked up and she's drinking a martini and I was like, oh gosh, I'm bombarding her. It was a very self-aware moment for me because obviously he doesn't know what he's walking into because producers are telling him this or that. And we saw him wandering around. They let him wander around the hotel and talk to staff to try to find Charity. So I felt like that was a glimpse into the self-awareness that Aaron has where he was like, oh shit, I walked up and she was like relaxing and now I kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
Like
Uphill battle
he probably was told by producers too, like, she's waiting for you and is into, what I mean?
Of course.
But I felt like that was a good glimpse into who Aaron is.
Yeah, I agree. He won me over big time.
Yeah, big
I was
time.
never like anti-Aaron. I just was anti-Aaron when it came to like their chemistry. I always felt like it's not there. But this really won me over his character-wise.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone or anyone who has been madly in love with someone who's not in love with them. Is there a gnarlier feeling?
No, probably
I mean,
not.
being madly in love with someone and them not sharing the same feelings. To anyone who's gone through that has to be just heartbreaking. You see your future in someone and then you realize it's not going to happen.
It's like when I was in love with you for years and before you ever loved me. It's really hard.
It worked out, okay? Can we not do this right now?
But we did get in our Bachelor in Paradise preview. I don't know if this was in the one on the show, but I watched the extended preview on Instagram. And we see Aaron, I believe, telling Eliza that he's falling in love with her. So love that.
I love Aaron. Aaron's, you know how certain people fall in love real easy? I think Aaron's one of those.
Yeah.
I think Aaron's he's a love bug. He likes to just be like in love. You know what I mean? So he's just falling for people.
He's a big love bug energy.
I do think that.
Well, shout out to Aaron. We shall see you in paradise. Okay, so then we end up having the family date moments. So Charity's mom, dad, and sister are there. Nehemiah is not there, which was oh so tragic to me. My guess is Nehemiah was like, last time this goddamn show had me come on, I literally had to work behind the bar for like 15 hours.
Yes.
So I'm going to say no to this one. You can catch me later.
Big time.
But we didn't see Nehemiah in the live studio audience either, and I was feeling sad, but then I saw him post. It was so sweet. I saw him post on Instagram a photo of Dotun and Charity and said, I can't wait to celebrate you both this weekend.
Cute.
So he's a dentist. So the man was busy. He was posting from his dental office. Like he was like
knee deep in root canals.
Knee deep in root canals. So, he was busy, but they're going to be celebrating this weekend.
Beautiful.
Which I love. Okay.
Beautiful.
But we see her mom, dad, and sister, which by the way, her sister is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Could not get over it. But Charity is finally with her family. And we get a moment from her mom when Charity says that I'm in love with two people. That we see her mom feeling as a mom some concern, saying that she is feeling uncomfortable for Charity because in the past, indecisiveness has been a struggle, and making a decision is something that she feels like she needs to be comfortable with.
Yes.
So I loved having then mom's ITMs being like, hey, we've walked through this all together as a family before, and I love my daughter, and sometimes the decision situation can be a struggle, which hearing this all, I was like feeling it so deep. I'm like, I so connected to it. So, then mom's feeling a little on edge for her. Yeah. Because she's now hearing that.
If you're close to your family, they know the intricacies. They saw you cry on your last breakup. You had the long talks with them about your troubles, your life, your career, all the stuff. So, it's impossible for a mom and dad not to bring all that into an experience.
Of course. Now, the difference that we saw, and we'll get into it, but the difference that we saw was where a lot of Bachelor parents of yore have been like, this is my opinion, and if you don't choose the person who I think is best for you, we're having beef. The difference,
or this whole thing's bullshit.
That's a big
one. It's always like the dad who's just being like, this whole thing's a crock of shit anyways.
You can't be in love at the end of this.
This is bullshit.
It's true.
There was like, dad, when did you fall in love? He's like, well, it took me a week. And they're like, okay, well, dad. And they're like, bullshit. This whole thing's BS. And you're just like, you're having to go through that.
Yeah, no, that's so true. This situation, we have parents who heard that their daughter's in love with two people, and instead of sinking their heels in the ground, were like doing the opposite. Like, no, this is your journey.
Very open, yeah.
I mean, it was, in my opinion, an incredible example of parenting that I was taking notes for in the future.
What I liked about it, and I don't know if this is the right wording, but I heard someone talk about the difference between compassion and empathy the other day. And the idea was that empathy is when you just when you just get the same feelings as someone and you connect with them on that. Compassion is when you do that, but then you also like are there for them in the way that they need. That was mom to me.
Yeah.
Mom was like, I'm going to be there for you and be empathetic, but I'm also going to be like, I'm also going to know you and be honest about like what I see without giving away too much, like we see later when she's kind of like holding some back because she's like, it's not my responsibility. But I liked it because it was like she was loving her, not just saying, we love you no matter what. There was like this, I love you, I'm here for you, but I also know your tendencies, I also know your struggles, and here's kind of how I'm seeing it, which I think is a really like powerful way to do it.
I like how you put that. It was very like active loving.
Yes.
It was active love.
Yes.
It wasn't the easy way out love. It wasn't
Which is
like
oh whatever, we love you no matter what, and like da-da-da. Like that, that can be great, but also like knowing her and being like, I also can see possibly some old tendencies coming up here, and I think it's something to be aware of, kind of thing, which I thought was really important.
Or just like being like, okay, sure, I'll let you know who I think is better.
Which is another easy way to just be like, that's the one, not that one.
Yeah, and I'll be real with you. If I was in mom's situation and my kiddo was like, no, please tell me, I probably would have eventually been like, fine.
Here's what I think, yeah.
Instead of actively loving my kid and being like, no, I'm not going to do that, because you need to make your own call.
Yes.
You need to make your own decision because you know.
Yeah.
And even mom in the conversation with her was like, you know in your gut. And mom might have been alluding to how mom was feeling about Dotun a little bit, but she didn't say that. She's like, you need to follow your gut. Yeah. Because I feel like she knew as mom that Charity knew in her gut who she wanted to be with.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Joey killed it. I mean,
Joey came in
I was blown away.
Joey should be out here doing TED Talks about meeting people's families.
He should start a podcast called Meet the Parents.
Meet the Parents.
And he just instructs you on how to be with parents.
Because he was just so phenomenal, so open, warm, confident, active listening, question. I mean, he came in, and Joey's been phenomenal through this
Not nervous at all, by the way.
No, not nervous at all.
That guy's never nervous. I don't understand.
Well, you know what's so funny is I feel like he was, which is interesting, which, you know, maybe we'll find out more when we see him as Bachelor. I feel like he was way more nervous with his family than meeting her family.
100%.
And so I think coming
his
off
uncle
of,
put him on edge.
Yeah, I think coming off of meeting him with his family, I thought maybe he might be a little tight, but it was just phenomenal. Yeah. And when they walked into that room together, the way that Charity was interacting with him, when her sister and mom were talking about her glowing, like later in the episode with him, I totally get what they were seeing, because she was buzzing, she was glowing, they were laughing, their level of comfort was 100 together. She
was crushing in real time. That amount of just like adoration for him was just palpable. And it was interesting. It was interesting because then, you know, he's talking to the sister, he's talking to the mom. And the thing I will say that blew me away the most was that he just, you know, there's certain things you can't teach. You can say the right things, you can be present, you can do all that. But then some people just have the it factor, and Joey has the it factor. When it comes to like making someone feel comfortable and cared for and there, he has an it factor.
Yeah.
Like Dotun said all the right things, Dotun was great, but like it was interesting to watch the family go from who is this guy to like, the next guy better be Superman.
Because we love Joey.
It was amazing.
Yeah, no, you're so right. There's definitely, and that's the thing about this show that I think can be tough, is that there can be people who just are like Joey, who are really gifted at meeting new people and interacting really comfortably without being nervous. And some people can do that well in front of cameras. Then on the flip side, you can have someone who might be phenomenal, which I thought Dotun I thought Dotun crushed it. But let's just say with someone else, if someone else might have been there who didn't handle it so well, but with cameras off or not in that situation, would be perfect for the lead, but it's just really gifted at that. So this is why the situation can be a little complex and it can be a little sticky.
100%.
Now, I will say this, and I could be so wrong about what this means. So bear with me, everyone. But I saw Charity reposted, and Bachelor Rabbit Hole posted this. Rhea, always bringing it. Bless you. @_choir girl posted on Twitter, that was an awful edit, truly awful. And Charity reposted it. Now.
Awful edit about what?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I could be so wrong. So Charity, please let us know. I'm assuming it was in regards to how Dotton's date went.
With the parents.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that like both were great.
That's what I think.
And I think that
I think production showed certain parts, edited music, made things look like Dotton's date didn't go incredibly, which I wish they would have just let it be like that. I wish they would have been like, both dates went incredibly, and then Charity's like, I don't know who to decide, and maybe, you know, mom had some reservations with Dotun when she said that, you know, he was familiar to her, like, and kind of reminded her of her ex or whatnot, that was just like a blip of a moment, but to show the dates truly as they were, that were maybe just two phenomenal dates.
I think they shot both.
Yeah.
And they just went harder on the edit for it.
Yeah.
So I think they would look at both and they're like, you know what, Joey seems to kind of like was a 10, maybe Dotun's was an 8.5. So let's exaggerate the 8.5 and make it a 5 so that it just feels like we have more drama in the show.
100%.
But okay, so you know, when it comes to Dotun on the date,
yes,
that was interesting because we've never seen him nervous.
No.
And he was nervous.
He was
tight.
nervous.
He was like another thing too, Joey, eye contact king.
He is fantastic with the eye contact, which we've talked about the entire time, by the way.
Dotun seemed to be a little bit like
looking
looking
more
around
nervous
because he was really nervous. He was tight.
Because Dotun normally eye contact is a 10
exactly.
too.
Dotun, for the first time we saw him sweat. So it almost seemed like he was trying to figure out what the perfect thing to say to the parents was instead of just being himself.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, he came across a little almost rehearsed.
Yeah,
because he was so nervous. Like, you know, when you're nervous, you kind of go back to like, what's the right thing to say here, as opposed to like, what's just the natural thing to say.
Of course.
So
and again, let's not forget, Dotun didn't know anything about this show, so this was probably a surprise to him that the parents were here too.
100%. No, 100%.
Like, I didn't know what's coming.
And it wasn't any critique on him. It was just like, when you're nervous, you kind of don't act natural. And I just felt that was the only scene we ever saw Dotun not really act that natural. So I could totally see the parents and support the parents in understanding where that Joey guy made us feel like a warm blanket.
Yeah.
Dotun felt a little nervous. Why is he nervous? Is there something wrong? You know, I could just see if you don't have any context for who this Dotun guy is, and you're just comparing the experience you just had between the two, I could understand where like that guy seems a lot more comfortable in the relationship. Well, he seems nervous. What's going on?
Right.
Not having seen the whole arc.
Totally. No, Dotun definitely seemed nervous. And what's funny is, I think anyone else acting like how Dotun was quote unquote nervous wouldn't seem nervous because he was still so comfortable. But because Dotun is never nervous, him just being a little nervous, we were like, oh gosh, Dotun's nervous.
If you just watch Dotun, you'd be like, that went great. But because Joey was like, almost seemed to just be like in his element of like meeting, you know, it's like no Instagram Katie.
Yeah.
She is like an Olympic athlete level of like meeting parents. That kind of person. So like I could see where like even if you were like, Katie's not even perfect for my person, the way the performance she can put on for the family is so exceptional.
I'll use this as an example. If my bestie no Instagram Aunt Katie and I met the same set of parents, I think I'm a pretty wonderful person.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm tooting my own horn.
Charming as shit.
But in comparison to Katie, because Katie goes in and there's just like you said, it's like an Olympic athlete. I think the parents would walk away and be like, we like Jess. She seemed nice. She was a little nervous. Wow, that Aunt Katie.
Even
you know
if Jess
what I mean?
was way better for the person. It's kind of like, that's the thing, you know?
But with that being said, even though Dotun did seem a little more nervous, again, I don't know if that was specifically the repost when Charity reposted that, if that was specifically about that. So I'm so sorry if it's not. But my guess was when I was watching these dates next to each other, I was getting the vibe where I was like, this Dotun date, I feel like this is an edit to make it look like it was a little more uncomfortable than it was. I bet it went really well because, and where I'll stand by this too, is even in Charity's conversations with the family after, she was very much like, tell me who you think. It wasn't so obvious to her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my family really seemed to vibe with Joey more.
Yeah.
Because if that was the case, she would have been like, okay, I'm reading between the lines here. She was like, no, tell me who you think. Because I think both went really, really well.
I agree.
And they just production edited it to make it look a little more like tighter with Dotun. With that being said, I think that I believe that Charity for sure was in love with both. But I think, and we talked about this earlier in the season, that her and Joey's relationship feels like such deep intimacy in a friend level.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stand by that. Even the way that they broke up. Her heartbreak, it was like she, I think, so deeply loves Joey. But with Dotun, and she says it later, there's just something that you just can't explain.
Dotun has, that's my guy.
Yeah.
For her. With her, that's the energy I get from her. Like you said, Joey has like best friend lover vibes. And I think that like compared, she was kind of like, I feel more.
I just think that when we see her come in with Joey date one and her level of comfortability, like how loose she was, it very much just made me feel like she is so comfortable with Joey because they have such an intimate friendship and attraction, but like this intimate friendship that is so deep, and you can tell they both adore each other, that there was a comfort level that when she then came in with Dotun, now she did say, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I can't even imagine in the lead. And then they were like, this is round 2 and I'm so burnt out. But she was a little, she was saying, yeah, I was a little more tired and stressed when I came in with Dotun. I also think too, probably it was because in her heart and in her gut, Dotun was it.
Yeah.
That there felt like more pressure introducing Dotun to the family. And so she was maybe a little more nervous. Dotun's a little more nervous because it's like, this is my person. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, when Joey, it goes so well and Dotun goes so well, but then family's like, we do really love Joey. All of a sudden, there's this feeling of, hold on a second. I feel like I got the vibe that it's like, I'm leaning towards being with Dotun, even though I adore Joey, but now I'm feeling like, am I wrong? What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah,
Affirm it,
I think that's the thing with Mom.
Yeah.
Mom was like, she said the best thing ever, which was like, I have my opinions, but I'm not going to tell you them because I don't want to be responsible. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important because she goes, I don't want to be responsible for the success of the relationship or the breakup. Because if you have me on camera going, stick with Joey, and then you choose Joey, and then you guys fall out, there's kind of this like, Mom, you gave me bad advice. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's not my place in the world to tell you who to date, to tell you what to do with your life. My job as a parent is to set you up for success and to help you with, decision-making skills.
Yeah, and to support you.
And I thought it was very interesting to watch Charity with her mom. Like you see the daughter element, which is like, if you really look up to your parent, like she clearly does to her mom, there's this like, can you rescue me from this decision? Yeah.
Oh my God. And imagine, imagine in the stress of, 3 months into this thing and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to break someone's heart and I'm going to have to make a choice. Like, help me, please.
And the energy I got, this is just out of nothing at all, but the energy I got was that in the past, maybe Mom wasn't super stoked on certain exes. And so this time around, she's kind of like, wait, I like Dotun the most, but I'm sensing that you're vibing with Joey the most. Yeah. It's making me nervous to choose Dotun because I'm afraid that we're going to feel the same way we felt in the past. Like I felt like there was like a triggering going on.
Sure.
Of like, she's going, I know you like Joey more. I can sense it, but I like Dotun more. So tell me what to do here because I'm a little like, I don't want to repeat the history. Like you could just tell, because even Mom brought up, Dotun feels a little bit more like an ex, possibly. I don't know. You could just tell her being like, I don't want to repeat the past, even if this has nothing to do with the past. Mm-hmm. She had that fear.
100%. Oh no. When they started to have that family conversation and then they walked outside, I was like, this is one of the most real, relatable moments I feel like I've ever seen on this show. I so resonated with Charity. Yeah. Where it's
that panic. Someone take the decision away from me.
It's just like, please, like I am stressed. I'm struggling. I don't know. Like, just tell me. But then, so I like so related to that and it was so real and raw. But then Mom being like, no, I know this hurts right now, but I'm doing you a favor by not telling you. Because ultimately, I mean, again, who knows what editing was doing, but if Mom was leaning towards Joey, right? And she would have said Joey and Charity would have gone with Joey. It's like what Mom, I felt like was really tapping into was I'm seeing a moment with this person and I have not seen Charity's journey. Yeah. And if Mom then, now Mom gets to watch, and she even said, she's like, yeah, now after seeing their whole journey, it's like, we love Dotun.
Also, if she says, I think you should pick Joey. Then she chooses Dotun. How's that first dinner look?
That's so true.
Now all of a sudden Dotun's walking into dinner going, Mom and Dad wishes I was Joey.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's
not fair to the partner.
Now we automatically have a contentious relationship.
Yeah.
Which could then lead to Dotun and her pulling away from parents more. Like that kind of shit happens all the time.
You're so right.
So
you're so right. It's not fair to the partner. It's not fair to the kiddo. Like
the mom knew this is only a bad decision. If I tell you who I think you should be with, it's only bad. Mm-hmm. So
and now what's so cool is that where it's like, again, such like active love is that because Charity's mom didn't end up saying who she thought, then Charity was able to just like sit with all of those big like feelings and the decision. And at the end of this, when her and Dotun are watching it back, it's like, that was all what I wanted in my heart.
Exactly.
You know, it wasn't parents trying to push or sway or anything. What I thought
was right.
It was like, you are who I wanted. And yeah, it was like a powerful, very real part of this season that I just feel like we haven't really ever seen on the show before. I thought it was beautiful.
So then we get to the breakup, the first breakup.
Well, by the way, first they call in Neil Lane, who they flew all the way to Fiji, who he got 30 seconds in of words.
He got his little
I feel
thing
like he hasn't been around much lately, and it's like, oh, the Bachelor franchise, they've called me again for the Bachelorette, and now I'm on my way to Fiji, and it's like you get 2 seconds in, and they set up a little table for him, and then Neil was also in the audience after the final rose. They never spoke to him.
At one point texting, I saw him like he was half of the camera, and I think they were talking to Kat in Brooklyn, and he was right behind them, and he was just texting like the whole time, like just like, okay, I don't know how long I have to be here at the contract.
Oh my god. Well, so then they have Charity that ends up having. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, she has her final evening with Joey and with Dotun before the rings. Oh my goodness, I'm all over the place. Her and Joey have a very sweet moment. Again, something that I really, really admire and love about Joey is that the second that they sat down, he has this like, he is so strong in the way that as soon as they sit down, he right away was just like, so tell me about what your family thought.
Yep.
It wasn't kind of like waiting to see if she was going to bring it up. Obviously, their evening goes really well.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think, maybe I'm wrong about Dotun like being the final choice, and
gives her a gift of the poetry.
And I love Joey. Don't get me wrong, but like I've said 100 times before, I'm like, if it wasn't going to be Dotun, I was going to be absolutely heartbroken and devastated because from day one, I felt like these two are meant to be together for forever, eternal love. Such a strong chemistry, such a beautiful, beautiful energy between the two of them.
Also, Joey's confidence. Like multiple times, Joey said, "I had no doubt that I was the one."
Yeah.
Dotun was a little bit more like, whatever she chooses, I'm cool with.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when they had their date, he was like, I don't know, I think I'm feeling good. Like Joey was blindly confident. He was just like, there's no question, we're getting married.
Yeah.
So that didn't help.
No, it's
with
true.
Like us, the audience watching, going like, wait a second.
Yeah, I'm like, have I been
like,
wrong?
This guy's like, no, not even questioning it.
But he gives her the poem frame that was so beautiful. And you know, they wrap their date and it is 10 out of 10 good energy. Well, when she ended up getting together with Dotun, I was like very nervous. I was like, oh no, like again, because of the editing. But again, I feel like their date then showed that there was editing involved to make it look more like
they were trying to throw us off Joey's scent.
Yes, because when they got together,
off Dotun's scent.
Off Dotun's scent. Because when they got together, it was like, you know, she had the moment where she was like, okay, do you feel like I prepared you? He's like, yeah, you know, Mom was a little tough, but I got her and we were good at the end and it was all good. And he then sends her on like the treasure hunt through their life or through their life together.
Through their 4-week life together.
Through their journey together. And it was so sweet, starting with their first date, and then at the end he gave her a locket with their baby photos that was from that drive-through movie, and it was so beautiful, and I was crying and all the things. But also, by the way, when he gave her that locket, he said he was talking about the moment that he started to love the hell out of her. And it gave me butterflies.
Yeah.
There's something about that phrase, loving the hell out of you.
Hell out of you.
Whew, feel it. But but there was a moment where Charity did say, "Are you feeling confident?" And he said he's confident in their connection, but there are two of us and I'm feeling nervous. I trust you. I want me to be happy. And then she ends up bringing up how well it went with Joey and how she's feeling about Joey. And it's the first time, like Dotun says, he's like, we this whole time have only ever talked about us. And this is the first time that she's bringing up there's someone else here. And then he's starting to feel that.
Yeah.
Which again, I feel like Charity just did so well as the Bachelorette. If you think about all the other seasons of this show, Bachelor, Bachelorette, she has just done such a phenomenal job of having individual relationships with each person. There hasn't been like, even like other than all the Brayden, which it was just, that whole thing, it was just all the guys being like, Brayden this, Brayden that. But other than those like drama moments, which we all loved, with her like top men, there was not any like overlap relationally where you see any of the guys being like, well, I'm nervous about him and I'm nervous about him. And I feel like that really speaks to how she handled this whole process and how she moves in relationships, that each person felt so seen and confident in what they had because she was like so there with that person, So it was then interesting to add.
Yeah, 100%.
All of a sudden that feeling. So then the proposal day comes, and when Joey stepped out of the limo, the audience gasped.
Yes.
Gasped.
Yes.
The producer, so did I. The producers, they got us.
They got us.
They got us on this last episode.
Thinking that we were wrong this whole time.
I was like, it has to be done right. And in this final episode, I was like, oh my God, is it Joey? Well, this breakup
It was unbelievably heavy.
It was gnarly.
It really showed you, like her breaking and him breaking showed you how tough of a decision it was. That it wasn't kind of close. It was like almost dead even.
Yeah. And I think too, like I said, we're all stand by like that deep, intimate friendship.
Yeah.
It felt like she was so heartbroken to hurt him too, because she cares about him so much. Like when she was sobbing her way through everything, it was just like, there was such an acknowledgement of he is such an amazing guy. And it was just hitting her so hard that it's like having to do that is so intense.
Yeah.
And I'll never get over the fact that producers make these men
I know what you're gonna say.
do the speech first and then start to
speech.
get on the knee. Like that makes me feel so bad for the lead and the person.
Yeah, because the lead has to like tease it enough to where it feels like they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
and they go,
like,
you have been amazing, and you're the most incredible person I've ever met, and you complete me, and you're gorgeous, and you're everything I ever wanted, but bye forever. They make them do the right before the knee thing on both of them.
I know.
Then it's like they're basically, you know what they do? They make them do wedding vows.
100%.
I'm going to cherish you forever, and I can't wait to have children with you. But we will not be doing that.
And then it's like they make the lead, they're making Charity like just stand there and listen to Joey telling her why he's about to propose to her. And she's so torn up about having to say goodbye to him.
Yeah.
And they're making her hear all of these words. And then he's about to hit a knee and then making her have to be like, no. I mean, it is so, I'm like, that is one of the cruel moments of this show where you're like,
cruel.
Can you just let the person who the lead's saying no to come out? And as soon as they start walking, go, hold on, I just need to say something from afar to you. It's not you. So can we talk now?
I had this thought too. I think if I was on there, I would be able to tell if I'm getting broken up with or not before they even say a word.
You think you'd be able to pick up on it?
Here's why. I would check for puffy eyes.
He's a detective, ladies and gentlemen. He's a detective.
If they would have cried minutes before and gotten the makeup retouched, there still is a thing. You can still look at their eyes and kind of see if they're a little bloodshot, a little puffy from the crying. Because you can put makeup on, but at the same time, there still is the like eyes just
They
cried
might though
look.
give it a few hours in between.
Still, maybe. But if you cry hard like she does and like most people do, if you cry real hard, there's residue. There's cry residue. And I think that like if you were really observant, you could walk up and look her right in their eyes and be like, she hasn't cried at all. That means I'm on the chopping block. Or it looks like you just cried. I'm in.
I'd be looking in the mud to see how many tire track marks there have been. I'm like, okay, guesstimating how many producers have been driving back and forth, and then like, am I the second one here? Am I the first one? Because I'm the first one.
Also, if you look at the makeup area when you walk by, has it been used? You know, if it's fresh, that means that they haven't had to redo a retouch up. So if you see the makeup artist like going like this and cleaning the brush, you know you're good. If she's sitting there and they're perfectly aligned, you know you're on the chop. I would just be like, let me see the makeup truck right now. I need to do
the makeup truck.
I need to look through and look at all the brushes so I know what I'm walking into.
I feel like another move that you could do is you could just walk out and refuse to speak and just stand there and just stare at the lead and just stare. And then production would be like, okay, go ahead. It's your time to speak. And then you just stand there, just smile. And just not say a word. Yeah. And just make the lead go first.
Yes.
So then you can get an idea of what's going on. I'm like, I'm not saying anything until I know if I'm getting broken up with or if I'm proposing. But it was, I mean, I absolutely am obsessed and adore Dotun and Charity together. But my goodness, this was
heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. Jay Palmer told us this was going to be a really heartbreaking
And he, it was. like he said, I had no doubt. I had no doubt at all that this was my wife when we were getting engaged. You know, and so to be that confident about something and then have it be taken from you is definitely jarring. But he handled it. He handled it like a total gentleman. She handled it incredibly. She was so gracious and kind. It couldn't have gone more amazing, you know.
It was just a moment where you really did see the deep love and admiration they had for each other. You know, she's saying the kindest things to him and he's saying like, it's okay. It's okay. They're giving each other hugs. He lets her know like, I'm listening to you. And he tells her that he's happy ultimately because she's one step closer to finding her happiness. Yeah. And when they walk to the car, that silence, aside from the sniffles, just told us everything. And again, I don't know if I've seen this heartbreaking of a breakup in a long time where like the lead and the guy who's the top two, it's that intense. Yeah. And when he's crying in silence in the car, and then when he's in the live studio audience watching himself, and then he's crying in the live studio audience, I'm like, it was... Yes. It was a lot.
It was a lot.
But then we go to live studio audience and Joey has gotten a Bachelor haircut. He is looking hot.
He really, I mean, it's amazing what a little just trim up did. It was like a trim.
I mean, he's always been gorgeous. It wasn't even like a
cut. It was like a trim.
But that cut, I was like, he's looking.
He went up a couple notches. He was a 10. He went to a 12 for sure.
He really did. But you know, Jesse's asking him how he's doing and he says, he's like, this is what I signed up for. Like, I understand what I signed up for, but he's teary. Yeah. We'll find out that they haven't spoken since. But the second that Charity comes out, immediately, again, the love is palpable between them. That friendship intimacy, because they are right away so comfortable together. And another moment for Joey where the second that Charity sat down, he just was so confident in the way that he handled the conversation and started to direct the conversation and shower her in gratitude. But I appreciated the fact that he directed the conversation so she didn't have to get put in the position where she had to direct it.
And explain herself or do all that stuff.
Exactly. It's like he respected as the lead everything that she's gone through, all the exhaustion, and now she is happily engaged, and how uncomfortable that is and exhausting to sit there and be like, I'm going to now have to be the one the lead to be like, so how have you been? I love that he just took control and was like, hey, here's how it went. I adore you. You're incredible. And it is what it is. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Because he could have said what went wrong.
Yeah.
What was kind of the issue? And he knew that it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's pointless to go there. Like, why create, a new fear for yourself?
100%.
You know what I mean?
And also when she's clearly extremely happy.
Now, one thing I wrote a little note for myself because I was like, this is something interesting. and he kind of brought it up too, in no other aspect of your life will you ever experience something like this, which is if you're getting to the point of engagement, generally for 99.999% of people in the world, you're not thinking, is there someone else? Unless there's like,
oh, you mean
you know
like
what I'm saying?
100%.
Like if you're getting to the point where I'm going to ask this person to marry you, generally you're almost like certain it's a yes, right? A lot of times,
Yeah,
unless you go out on a limb.
some people are going to go out on a limb.
Unless you go out on a limb, you're going to do it. But if you're dating for 2-3 years and then you do this, you're like, we've talked about it. When I do it, it's a yes. You know, every once in a while it's a no, but generally. What you're not thinking about is the person to go, no, and I'm going to get engaged to someone else today.
Sure.
So I feel like that could really mess with you going forward.
Totally.
To be like, next time I meet someone and I'm going through this process again, like to not be kind of like traumatized by the idea that like the last time I tried this, not only did the person say no, but then they got engaged to someone else 5 minutes later.
100%.
Which is like, that could mess with like your head as like constantly questioning, like, are we connected as I think we are? Are we close? I don't know. Does she love me? I don't know. I could see like it kind of bleeding into your normal life and kind of playing games with you.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is. It's the people who are on reality TV and who are especially on a show like The Bachelor or like a Love is Blind, that is a population that has such a unique perspective on something that
heartbreak.
That only a few hundred people in the world really
It's one thing to get your heart broken. It's another thing to get your heart broken that way.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very intense. Well, then we have Dotun.
Yeah. They edit it right up to the end too. Like even when he's walking up, he's not smiling. You know, when he walks up, he's kind of like, hey.
Well, in
he
the
doesn't
ITMs,
he doesn't run up and say, hey. He kind of goes, hey. Like there's a lot of, he really edited it to really make you feel like maybe she's going to turn him down or he's going to turn her down.
I was starting to panic.
It didn't make you feel, after she turned Joey down, it didn't make you feel like it was a lock. It made you feel like, wait a second.
No, I was on the edge. At first I was like, it's a lock. And then I was on the edge of my seat again because in the ITMs, he was talking and it was so powerful where he was like, the kid on my immigration card wouldn't believe where I am here today. He just wanted to be loved.
Oh, right.
He's like, I felt like I was misunderstood a lot of my life, but Charity understands me. And he starts crying. I'm bawling.
Sure.
And he starts crying saying that, these aren't tears of sadness. He's like, well, it's happiness and sadness.
That's when I thought he was going to turn her down.
Right.
That's when I thought he was going to go, listen, this whole thing was way too fast. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think we just need to take time and date. That's what I thought he was going to do.
I was starting to panic. But later on, when he sat down live with Jesse was like, Dotun, I saw you in that moment with a different energy than I'd ever seen you before. And Dotun did say, and it really hit me, where he was like, that moment, I had a different type of feeling because I was realizing what a massive moment this was, that I could either walk away being like the most heartbroken ever, and I'm going to have to process that, or I'm going to be with like the love of my life and like how important that is. Yeah. And also when he's in his ITMs talking about like the struggles that he's felt and talking about how he didn't think that he was going to find love. Like he was walking through all of those emotions in that moment, like the sadness that he's experienced and the profound happiness that he's feeling right now. But also there's this question mark of, is that profound happiness going to last? Is she going to say yes? I mean, all of those things. So it was like his reaction in the ITMs and the way he walked up and then talking with Jesse later, it was like just such a testament of like how seriously this was being taken. Like this was such a big moment. But then when he was proposing to her and I was just like, yes, or he's just saying all the beautiful things to her. And I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. And he's like, you've shown me that a good thing really just can be a good thing. Mm-hmm. That line, and he had said that before, it was like, that was so incredible. And then she was talking about how the night that changed her life forever was the hotel room moment in Oceanside. Mm-hmm. And then he gets down on one knee and proposes, and he keeps calling her Miss Charity Lawson. And I feel all the butterflies, and we see the ring, everyone's screaming. The way that they are like kissing. I mean, they were just so in love. And then they have the stool for her, which I was dying about because he was just kept picking her up. Tall. He's having to go like on double knees to like make out with her.
He has to get on his knees to make the picture look right.
So they've got a stool for her, but it was just such a beautiful proposal. We're all sobbing, we're all cheering, just so happy for them. And then we have the live studio audience, and they do something which I love, which I don't feel like they rarely ever do, is Charity and Dotun came out together.
Yeah.
They typically always have the lead sitting out there and they're talking to the lead, and then they bring out, the person that proposed to them or who they proposed to, whatever. I love that they walked out together.
Yeah.
It was just like united front of love. And when they walk out, these two, they are just both so gorgeous. They
Unreal.
are so gorgeous. And the style, that dress on her, that back, and then his suit, I mean, it was like
stunning.
I mean, they were just coming out and we're all fainting. They're all just so beautiful. But Jesse Palmer lets us know that Charity was letting him know at the Men Tell All that she could not wait for after the final rose. They can finally be together. They're not having to have their happy couples where the producer, they're having to like live secretly, all of this.
Yeah.
They can just come out. And there was, by the way, a clip of Charity after the Men Tell All that one of the news outlets was interviewing her. And they were like, after seeing all these guys again, any question that you made the wrong decision? And she literally looks at the camera and starts laughing. And she's like, no.
Yeah, right.
And she starts laughing. She goes, sorry. But no, I'm good. I'm very happy.
Yeah. Well, she just would have been like, actually, seeing Joey with that haircut, to be honest with you, is really messing me up.
Actually, when Sean came and sat next to me, I was like, maybe.
Wait a second. Sean's the one. Nothing would make me happier than just like a twist like that.
But, we have a moment from Charity's mom that she's super happy for them after getting to know them. And Charity says marriage is going to happen sooner rather than later. But of course, they're just enjoying their life right now. And Jesse Palmer says that he has a surprise for them. Like you mentioned before, they're going to Greece. Hopefully they give them a full blowout experience.
Yes.
Like pay for the nice flights, pay for a long stay, gorgeous, because she's going to need some rest. Because in the next moment, and I love that they have Dotun tell her, Dotun lets her know that she is going to be on Dancing with the Stars.
That's actually, and she was like a cheerleader and stuff too. So I feel like it's gonna be like Gabby. Like Gabby was like a cheerleader too, and so they already know how to dance.
Oh, they're
they know what you're
amazing
doing.
dancers.
So I do think that like she's gonna kill it.
And I can't wait to have more Charity on our screen because we are just so obsessed. I'm like, no, it's the 9 episodes. We need more. So now we get to see Charity on Dancing with the Stars. And again, I love that Dotun brought it up and he was like, I know we've been talking about it and I know, it might be a lot, but like you got to take this opportunity. Yeah. So that behind the scenes they've been talking about like, she's going to be super busy doing Dancing with the Stars and that can be stressful in a relationship. But the fact that they're already talking about it, showing that communication is crushing.
Yes.
I can't wait to watch her on this. And then we have the official announcement of our new Bachelor being Joey. And like we were saying before at the top, he's going to be amazing. He was handling the whole situation like a champ. They had the whole Leah card moment, all of this. Jesse Palmer is alive. He is living.
I can't wait to see Joey handle like the women fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's just going to be like confused. He's like, I don't understand fighting. Why do you do it?
Why do you fight?
He's just so gentle and sweet. You're just going to be like, why would anyone fight? It's like, oh. It'll be interesting to see how he handles like drama. That's what I'm excited to see.
I'm curious to see if Joey is going to be attracted to the people in the house who are maybe more like peacekeepers, or if he's going to be attracted to the people in the house who are a little more electric and getting into some of the arguments more.
Yeah.
I really don't know. I don't know with him. It's a toss up.
Yeah. I think he's going to because he's so calm and chill, I think he's going to want someone with some pep.
Okay.
So I think he's going to want someone with some fire.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to want like the calm, chill one. I think he's going to want a little bit more zappy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's what I think.
Okay. Well, that'll be in January. But in the meantime, again, in a couple weeks, we're going to have Bachelor in Paradise. And that Bachelor in Paradise preview looked incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We had a moment, by the way, where we saw Brayden, like you mentioned earlier, in the audience. And Jesse Palmer was like, well, Rachel, look who she's sitting next to.
Yeah.
And then we saw in a preview that Rachel and Brayden are on a date in Paradise. And they seemed fine and comfortable enough with each other. But I did have the fantasy that like they blew out in Paradise and they having to sit next to each other was like torment.
No, I honestly think that they are perfect for like reality television together.
Okay.
because I mean like being together, ending up together.
But
I mean, them on like Paradise is perfect because they're both a little like don't know what they want vibe. And I could see them both having a fiery affair and then like blowing out 100%.
Okay. I mean, we shall see.
Because I could just see someone getting pissed about someone hooking up with someone else and going on a date. And I could totally see Rachel and Brayden being super pissed when someone comes down onto the beach and then requests one of them for a date and then they go, what do you mean? Why are you going? I could just totally see it. It's like,
I cannot wait. But we were seeing that 4 bachelorettes are showing up, Rachel being one of them. We have Charity showing up, which obviously, she's not there to date. She is with Dotun.
Of course.
Yes. And then we see Hannah Brown, which she's been in a relationship for a long time. So I don't know what
she's presenting cards.
What she's trying to do. But then we see our girl, Katie Thurston, coming down. So we will see what goes on with that because Blake is also down there. Well, we're going to have to talk to Katie about that. We're going to have to talk to Katie. But yeah, so Blake's going to be there. I'm so excited about that. We have Kat, we have Jess, we see Avid. I mean, there are so many clips. We also see Rachel talking to Jordan, who was like heartthrob on her season, who she let go at the top and looks like, are they having another date?
Yeah.
And are they going to end up working out?
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty wild. Also, side note, we have a moment with Aaron S., Brayden's bestie, coming at Peter.
Love it. That guy's so intense.
But I'm saying maybe we're going to find out what this whole Peter drama is. And it looks remember how we were saying it's got to be more than just that. Mm-hmm. So it must be something that went down in Paradise
because they were so pissed.
That added to it because Aaron S. hated him.
Hated the fact that he wanted to make some t-shirts or something. Like that was definitely not the full context.
So we're going to hopefully see more. Yeah. We hear about a poo baby.
Ooh, that's going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.
The poop is going to be huge.
The poop's going to be huge. Can't wait.
That's so embarrassing, to be honest with you, to be on live television and you're being like sat down to talk about how much poo is in your body is a wild.
It is so wild.
Who was that?
So that's Sam Jeffries, who was on Clayton's season.
Got it. Okay, I was like, I don't remember her.
But she, in that preview with the poo baby, I was right away like, oh my God, that would be me. Because I'm so constipated.
Dude, 9 days of poop is a lot of poop.
Well, if I travel, I'm not pooping the entire time. So I'm like, it's not comfortable and I feel for you, Sam, is all I'm saying. And that poo baby.
Oh, that's got to be so uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable.
9 days. Do you guys all poop a lot? That's something that's very important. And no, but like 9 days of not going is wild.
It's so wild. It's so wild. But I'll let you know. It's very uncomfortable. I've gone like 2 weeks.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You're like full of poo at that point.
Yeah.
You're just like a poo person.
Yeah. You got to do like an enema and all that stuff. I mean, it's not fun.
Just like up to your eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Your whole body is just filled with toxicity.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Jeez.
But again, that'll be coming in September. Stay tuned as we let you all know what our schedule is going to be like. We're going to hit it hard with all of these reality TV shows. But just a final send off to Charity, to Dotun. To the journey. Congratulations. It has been an absolute honor to recap Charity season, and I wish them all the love, and all the
prosperity, love.
So cheers to them, and also crush it on Dancing with the Stars. Crush it on Dancing with the Stars. Cheers. Oh, speaking of Dancing with the Stars too, before we do a call home, one of my most favorite parts of this entire finale was Gabby brought her girlfriend Robbie, and the two of them in the camera were so cute. I could not handle it. Totally. I am obsessed with them. Gabby, Robbie, please come on the podcast.
That would be amazing. We'd
I want to
love
talk to you both. I also saw a clip of them entering that the show posted, and Robbie's like joking around, hyping it up, and Gabby's like, stop. I mean, they're they're so cute together. Yeah. And yeah, please come on the podcast.
That would be incredible.
Please. Love you guys. Should we do a call home?
Absolutely.
Let's do a call home.
Remember, you can always call home.
Hey, what's up, Mom and Dad?
Hi.
I can't even believe I'm doing this right now. Like, my heart is racing. But I have been wanting to call in for a while, but I don't know why I sometimes like overthink um just sometimes what I'm about to say or like release and
Yeah.
Great laugh.
I'm cracking
No.
up. I'm cracking up. But anyways, I'll go ahead and just get started before I keep rambling on. I'm just gonna say it. So me and my partner were having sex and I was like really into it. And I was having a great time. But I like happened to like look back and like I saw him sneak a yawn in and I was just like and like I just obviously we kept going and like it ended fabulously. But nonetheless, I was like, oh, I hate like, envisioning that. So I'm like, am I in my head or is this common? Like that's so like obviously people yawn, but like I don't know, maybe just getting that image out my head is what I need to get over. But I don't know if I even want to like talk about it because I'm just like I know it. I don't know, whatever. I'm overthinking it, but any advice would be greatly appreciated to just maybe just get out of my head.
Oh my
honestly.
God.
But I love you guys. I've been listening to you guys for years and honestly I just am obsessed. Like you have brought me to tears multiple times like throughout the month and it's never ever ever just like nothing short of beautiful. So I really appreciate everything you guys do and all the energy you know just in work you put into this, make it an amazing podcast. But I'll stop. Take care. Bye.
Wait, I love this,
Great laugh.
this
Great
family
laughs.
member. Oh my God. Love you so
the
much.
yawn is legendary.
Let me just have a moment with you and let you know that I understand being in your head. Don't let it get in your head. I have observed Evan yawning before.
What?
Mid-session. And I don't think you were tired. I think I've yawned before. I feel like sometimes yawning is like a bodily reaction that isn't just like I'm bored or sleepy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes...
Well, generally, you can yawn too when you're nervous because your body needs oxygen.
Yeah.
They say that sometimes.
I'm going to
I don't
look
know
up
if that's
reasons
true,
why you
but
yawn.
Here's my thing. No one loves to see that. Let's just identify
understood. Yes,
with your
yes,
pain
yes.
here. That is understandable. Like if I was
100%.
on stage giving the performance of my life and the guy in the front row is just going like this, like I would be immediately in my head if I'm in the middle of sex and someone's yawning 100%. If you've been with this person for a long time and you've obviously have a sexual relationship with them, I wouldn't overthink it. You know, now I don't know. Now you'd also have to understand if you were the one that were like begging for sex and the person was like, but I've worked all day, and you're like, please, and they're like, fine, and then they yawn. Okay, then at least
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
they're giving you something, and then they're tired at the same time. If this was just a general sex moment, I would have probably after like roasted Jess a little bit and been like, wow, what a performance I put on. You were falling asleep there, and then kind of like seen what came out of it. But I will say the longer you let it go, the more I would just say forget about it, because
Yeah.
it was probably just a moment, tiredness, you know, working a lot. Who knows what the circumstances are, but I wouldn't overthink it, especially if you guys have been together for a really long time.
100%. Also, I'm looking this up here, and some of the causes for yawning are yawning addresses respiratory needs. Maybe your partner was just like giving the performance of a lifetime, and like you said you were loving it,
Right.
and so I'm assuming it was going well. So maybe your partner was just like, I'm catching my breath here, and I was holding my breath, so now I'm yawning. It also says that yawning cools the brain. So babe, you were too hot.
You were burning his brain.
You were on fire, and his brain was on fire.
Yeah.
And he needed to cool it
There you
down.
go.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel
I
like
yawn a lot when I'm stressed.
me too. I yawn when I'm nervous. I yawn when I'm
Right.
feeling like anxious. Like maybe your partner was like, oh my God, like, you know, in a state of excitement and feeling like, ooh, am I about to like get there?
Yeah.
Or, you know, it might be a thing too of your partner is like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm trying to hold off. So I'm
Sure.
feeling a little stressed, like trying to hold
Yeah.
on to it. You know,
Maybe he was trying to think, he was trying to last longer. So he was trying to think about stuff that's like super boring.
Yeah.
In order to like slow his roll. So he was thinking about like a desk job where he's miserable. And he's like, he's trying to get out of it for a second so that he
100%.
keeps it going. So that's also
100%.
possible too.
I'm just saying there are so many options here. But
just bring it up if he starts doing it a lot.
Yes, if
it's
you
yawning
start
every time.
If you start noticing that your partner is regularly yawning, then maybe you can be like, "Hey, here's the thing. I don't want to make a thing about this, but I'm a little in my head because, like, are you good? Because I feel like during our sessions, he's like, you seem a little tired because you're yawning. Like, should we be doing this a little earlier in the day? Maybe
right.
like maybe present it that way. I fully acknowledge you getting in your head about it because I remember when I saw Evan yawn once too that I was a little bit in my head, but then you weren't doing it repeatedly, so I was like, okay, like it was
a one time.
it was just a moment,
lot, right?
yeah, or whatever, or I was just too hot for his brain, something like that. But of course, understand you feeling that way, but I would just
write it off.
Just write it off.
If it was a one-time thing.
You're hot. Like you said, you were absolutely enjoying it. Like you were in the moment and loving it. Don't let that moment take that away from you.
Also, let's say it wasn't like the epic one for him, but it was good for you. That's called a sexual relationship. Sometimes one person has way more fun than the other person. Sometimes you're not completely on the same page. Maybe he was just kind of chill and having sex with you, and you were much more riled up than he was, and you were experiencing much more, and he was just kind of laid back and chill and had nothing to do with performance or anything. Sometimes you're not like exactly linked, that he was just
maybe your pleasure centers were on fire and he was a little more laid back.
Exactly. Happens.
So many things, but you're hot, and I just wouldn't even think about it anymore. Again, unless all of a sudden your partner's like constantly yawning, then I would maybe bring it up.
If he's falling asleep mid-session, talk about
then
it.
maybe be like, hey, let's get you some coffee beforehand, or like maybe you're working a little too hard. Maybe we gotta change your sleeping hours, your
100%.
schedule a little bit. But love you all.
We love you all so much. We'll see you in a couple days.
Tune in again Friday. Send us all of your funny, controversial opinions.
And we'll talk
Send
about
those to the Call Home hotline, please. I cannot wait to discuss.
Yes.
All right.
Love you all.
Love you all. Bye.